DraftScience video. So anyway, continuing this just very disappointing in terms of you can't find a reasonable conversation. So anyway, this TruthQuest guy, TruthQuest 123, religious nut. So he makes 4 comments on the video, which again I've only said this so many times. It's just rude. And he posts a link. Click on my channel. I've done a new video for you. You didn't do a video. You posted some text in a video. Why not just post the text? It isn't even that much text. I mean, it's not. You don't call text in a video a video. It's just not. Video text is oxymoronic in my opinion. It just demonstrates you're not very logical. It's not a good way to display text, is to put it in a low resolution video. It's stupid. Alright. So I'll play his video. His text. Sorry, idiotic. So first we'll do his idiotic comments. I mean, look, idiot. You have to refute something I say, or explain something you're claiming. But you have to do one of those two things. You have to show how there's physical evidence of your theory, how the facts prove your theory, or you have to show me a fact that demonstrates that something I've said is wrong. And you're not doing either one of those things. So aren't you just wasting my fucking time? What else do you want me to call this? There's no point. This isn't a conversation. I made all these videos. I make all these statements. I draw all these goddamn pictures. And what do you give me? You don't give me an argument how I'm wrong. Nothing. What's the point? I'm not interested in anything else. I'm not interested in your Jesus theories of physics. Fuckhead. So anyway. Well, I guess this says it also. So I guess I better start at the bottom. Let's just list the comments by newest first. Yeah, it just makes me just sick of this shit. It's just this idiotic fucking world I have to live in. Light is a condition of photons within a gravitational field. Proven by what? There's absolutely no indication that gravity has anything to do with photons. Besides the fact that I would claim they're both made of the same thing, but photons are merely gravity with a signature of frequency. But there's no need for a gravitational field. There's no field that's needed for photons to go from my light bulb to my head. None whatsoever. Also, the oscillations of quantum fluid, whatever, ether, photons. Oh, gee, why don't you include Bugs Bunny and whatever that rabbit, Ricochet Rabbit? Why don't you include Ricochet Rabbit in there too? I mean, what does that say? The oscillations of the quantum fluid, ether, photons. What does that mean? What is that? It says nothing. Due to interaction with energy waves. Wow, that explains everything. An energy wave. We'll just call everything an energy wave. There. I've done physics now. Physics is over. We've completed it. It's all energy waves. This, there. It's just waves. Stuff is just waving, and the stuff isn't really stuff, though. It's just a wave waving. A wave waving, 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 waving. Just layers of waving. Nothing reflects anywhere. Whatever. Says you. Wow. Do I care? No. What is that? Jesus died on the cross for your sins. You can say anything. You want to prove something? Fuck. Gravity is simply an eddy in a river. Well, it has nothing to do with an eddy in a river. We know that the physical, mechanical energy for the eddy is created by the external spinning of the water molecules that are stuck to each other. So how does that equate to gravity? Oh, that's right, no way whatsoever. Whose gravitational field lines, whose gravity's gravitational field lines? Gravity is simply an eddy in a river whose gravitational field lines in reality assume the shape of a rotating toroid. So it's this circular. It's an inner tube spinning on itself. How does that explain gravity? Oh, that's right, doesn't explain it at all. Doesn't in any way explain magnetism, attraction, and repulsion. No. Does it explain gravity? Always attraction. There's no such thing as repulsive gravity. Does it explain it? No. Explain how it pushes things together? Inverse square rule by that law? That's a fact, you know. You can't escape it. So how does it do it by the inverse square rule? Nothing. What's the point of this? It's a Wikipedia page about a geometric abstraction. Who cares? I don't even think there is one in reality anywhere. Second pick from the top. Well, the whole page is this thing, you idiot. Explains nothing, which you cannot see on a 2D surface. You can imagine it, so what's the difference? You can see it, and then imagine it in 3D. You can see, I mean, we're looking at a one-dimensional screen and we can see 2 dimensions easy. And we can imagine 3. So what's the big deal? It still doesn't explain attraction. As the Earth's rotation slows down, he's obviously speaks a different language. As the Earth's rotation slows down, the toroidal nature of gravitational force condenses matter into sphere, which is a rough shape of our planet. No, it becomes a sphere because the pressure spreads and the force is proportional from its diameter. It's always the same amount of force by distance from the center. It has no choice to become a sphere because the pressure is going to equalize. But it's basically like an eddy in a river. Again, it's a wrong comparison. It's nothing like it. It sucks everything towards the center of the eddy. Well, that doesn't happen either. Eddies deposit stuff in a broad circle. They don't peak. They don't tornado. Or the area of least pressure, negative pressure. Regardless, the eddy in a stream is being created by a force, an external energy, not an internal energy. This has nothing to do with gravity, for certain. This is true for all planetary bodies, including Earth. Well, Earth doesn't do anything like an eddy. Essentially, everything is being pulled to the center of the Earth. Well, it's not. So you just said that. Where's your evidence that it's a pulling force? Pulled how? Pulled by what rope? Pulled by what mechanism? There's no pulling. It's being pushed by the pressure out there. And the lack of pressure that's created by what the Earth is blocking. I mean, I've already explained all this in my videos. You're not counter-arguing. You're not explaining how I'm wrong. So what's the use in this? This isn't a conversation. You just ignore what I say and then talk about Jesus. Fuck you. Jesus is a stupid idea. It is stupid to call gravity a pulling force if you're going to have a serious conversation. I took down my vids. I'll redo them soon. Well, if they're just going to be text videos, fuck it. With music, fuck that even twice. Okay, if you're going to have a text video playing music, go fuck yourself. Okay, I'm really uninterested. Not only are you obnoxious in assuming I want to read text in a video, but to assume my musical tastes are the same as yours is really irritating, or to assume that I like to hear music while I'm trying to read, which I don't like to do. So fuck you if that's your plan. I'm not watching. I'd like you to make an argument, shithead. And if all you have is text arguments, then fuck making videos. Just write the text, shithead. Alright. Also, another way to think of gravity is as a rotating fizz within ether quantum soup. So it's a rotating fizz within ether quantum soup. Doesn't say anything. Ether made of what? Quantum soup. Again, is the quantum just sitting there? What's the quantum doing? What is the quantum soup doing? I've given you a whole explanation that the quantum is all moving. It's all moving very, very fast. It all has a directional straight line vector. It doesn't get moved by gravity. These are arguments I've already made, and I've given you logical and rational proofs of them. I've explained why it makes sense, why it's consistent with all the evidence that we've observed, why it's not inconsistent with any evidence we've observed. You haven't given me anything here. You're not giving me an argument. You're not explaining how this bullshit soup exists or what this soup is made out of. What the fuck good is your theory? Soup? Quantum soup. Okay. Imagination, make quantum ether soup. What? No, thank you. So you're right. Nothing really has gravity by just standing there. Right? Which is why I said in one of my vids that asteroids cannot have gravity simply due to their mass. Well, that's where you're wrong. Asteroids will have gravity if something moves into their proximity. Gravity is a fact. A grapefruit has gravity. All mass will create gravity. It's a fact. You can't dispute that one. That one's been experimentally done over and over and over again. I mean, that's how they figured out what the mass of the sun is. That's what they figured out all this shit with. They did experiments on things on Earth and found that they have gravity. So this is stupid. Your assertion is in direct conflict to actually scientifically observed facts. So when people say shit like, if you put a fat guy in space, he'd have his own tiny gravitational field. Yes, everything in space has gravity. That's right. Every meteor, the asteroid belt is basically a disintegrated planet, and all the pieces are acting just as if it was a whole planet. They all have a velocity. The velocity is maintaining their gravity. They all have gravity, just like the Earth has gravity, just like the Moon has gravity. The Moon isn't spinning. The Moon's not doing it. It's just sitting there. It's not spinning. It has gravity. No, he wouldn't. Well, you're just wrong, okay? It's just idiotic to say something in space, put in space, doesn't have gravity. It's just wrong. You're just fucking wrong. Every single bit of evidence disputes that. Everything that goes into space will have gravity. You take two items in space, you put them next to each other, get them close enough, their gravity will smash them together. Fact. No, he wouldn't. Einstein was wrong on the dip in space. Well, that's not the subject here. I believe Einstein was wrong, that space isn't bent or crooked. But I've explained why I say he's wrong. Is because the difference between matter and space is density of interactions, and interactions dictate time, and interactions create the opportunity for something called acceleration and velocity. Tesla, who was an idiot, dynamic theory of gravity is far better explanation. Says you. There's no explanation here. Tesla's dynamic theory of gravity. What? You are going to explain Tesla's dynamic theory of gravity? And as soon as you say something stupid like only spinning objects can have gravity, you've already lost the argument. You're already out of the ball game. You're already out of the rational pool of evidence, the evidence that can't be denied as existing. So go home. Is a far better explanation. No dip in space-time. No, again, comparing Einstein to Tesla is stupid. And they're both wrong. So you still lose. Just an eddy in quantum soup. Well, again, that doesn't explain. You have to do better than that, okay? You can use eddies as an example of, a system. But it has no correlation to the same mechanism. Obviously, it's a medium where the elements of the medium are stuck to each other, and the medium is being influenced from the outside, not the inside. So how are you explaining anything here? It's the motion of the stream, the gravity pushing the water downhill, that's creating the eddy. That's where the energy for the eddy comes from, is the movement of the water, the movement of the ether. How are you explaining that? I've explained that. Gravity is a rotating field of energy within ether, says you. Proven by what? Asteroids don't rotate, no axis, on their own. They are pieces of larger bodies floating through space. So what? The moon doesn't rotate. It has gravity. Human beings have stood on it. They've hit golf balls on it. They had to lift off of it. They had to shoot rockets to get off the surface because the moon has gravity, retard. Only stars and planets have gravitational fields. Wrong. Assuming they revolve on their axis. Again, you're just wrong. The moon doesn't rotate. The dark side of the moon is the dark side of the moon all the time. It's never the light side of the moon. Fuck you. Alright, so let's go to his stupid video and then we'll be done with this. So he posts links to crap. I mean, so, you know, I might as well show this stupid crap since he forced me to go look at it. So it's this crappy web page by this kid, this guy, who killed himself. And the more you look at his other stuff, he's a kook. So yeah, I'm sorry he's dead. But this is nonsense. This isn't science. This is bullshit. And you want to fall for this shit, that's your business. But this isn't a rational evidence. This isn't any kind of rationally explained nonsense. It just isn't. There's no rational explanation of anything. Here's your trapezoody bob. You know, your little spinning inner tube bullshit. This doesn't explain anything. There, this is gravity's explained. Here, there it is. It doesn't explain anything. Well, how does this make something move into it? And how does it make it do it by this inverse square law? How does this explain anything? It doesn't explain shit. How does this explain gravity? Where's the gravity? Where's the thing moving into the middle? Where is it? Where's the thing moving from any direction going in? Where is it? Where's the explanation of that? Oh, that's right. It doesn't exist. What's the mechanism? Oh, there is none. It's nothing. Thank you. It's nothing. It's a waste of time is what it is. That's really irritating. Alright, so enough of that crap. You know, again, it has this religious shit tied to it. So that's what he has here. He calls it a Sufi or whatever. So it's just some sort of Jesus theory. You know, book of cosmology and prophecy. I don't even know what that is. But anyway, no, I'm not going to read a whole book about your Jesus theory, idiot. And I find it insulting that you'd even suggest I should go do that. Fuck you. Alright, also, this is thanks in part to Tesla's work, including unfinished. We know, I mean, I love this. This is just such religion. We know that more like he never got a chance to publish it before he died. Well, I don't know why you don't say he was murdered. And FBI took the documents from his apartment. Yeah, the FBI has all his great scientific discoveries. Fuck you. Tesla's dynamic theory of gravity. Dun, 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 dun. No, he didn't publish much, you retards. Well, that's my fault. What I've done is instead read every little possible bit every written by Tesla, or mentioning Tesla. Well, I mean, if you're gonna read everything that mentions Tesla, then you're gonna read a lot of crazy crap. I have done a lot of reading on this. Well, so what? You didn't do any thinking. And then used critical thinking. Sorry, you didn't do any such thing, and you didn't connect any dots to connect the dots. What dot do you connect? You connect nothing. You say nothing. Nothing. There's no explanation in any of this mush. You're just spewing words saying, there, magnetism is magnetic. Well, yeah, okay, it's magnetic. What? It's ether. What? Okay. So then he blames everybody's not listening if they don't understand. 10-year-old could understand. 5-year-old, blah, blah, blah. This is just so, it's just such bullshit. This crap you spew. As if this is supposed to make sense to anybody who thinks. So anyway, universe equals energy suspended in ether. Energy suspended in ether. How is the energy suspended? How is it trapped? How is it different than the ether? No explanation whatsoever. Universe, energy. I'm supposed to just say, ooh, energy. What? Blah, blah, blah. Waving. There's a little waving hands filling the whole universe. Suspended in more waving hands. What? This doesn't explain anything. Ether equals quantum fluid. Blah, 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 blah. What's that? BBs? Dead BBs? Alive BBs? What? Things moving, things not moving? What? No explanation. Photons, photonic soup. Photonic soup. I mean, it sounds okay-ish, like okay, lots of stuff moving around would be photonic soup in my opinion, but that would all have a frequency and it would all be detectable, because photons are detectable. They have a frequency. What if it doesn't have a frequency? How do you detect it then? Oh yeah, that's the catch, ain't it? And that's what I've been explaining in my videos. And so you just ignore what I've said, post this crap as if this is a counter-argument or this is something. This means nothing to me. I've already have an explanation that kicks this explanation's ass. My explanation is much more detailed and much more explanatory than this shit. So why are you posting this at me? Nothing in the universe can exist without ether. Well, says you. Proved by what? Experiment what? Where? How? Nothing. Gravity equals energy vortex in sea of ether. Energy vortex. Again, you know, you can keep doing this tornado crap, but that's really not what gravity does. So, I'm going to say it again. How? What mechanism? How does this explain anything? I mean, the fact that there's a convergence is agreed by Susskind, Einstein. Everybody agrees there's a convergence with gravity. So this is you haven't said anything brilliant here. Almost anybody rational is going to agree gravity exists, and it basically means there's a convergence, that from all angles the stuff goes in and is falling down a drain of some kind. That's the general function. Well, what's the mechanism for that? I've explained the mechanism. The mechanism is shadow. Gravity, it's an illusion of what's the word I'm looking for? Well, there's no point. But the point is that gravity is just as obvious as two things shadowing each other from light. It's just that obvious. And it's just the same kind of inverse square. Exactly. My hand is 4 times bigger when it's half the distance. That's gravity. It has nothing to do with a real vortex. And clearly, objects that have, like your donut, a hollow center, there's no gravity in the center. So quite obviously your vortex is broken if there's no gravity in the center. What happened to your vortex? Where's the center of your vortex? Where's the mechanism pulling in? It doesn't exist. It's because gravity has nothing to do with this. The center of gravity is an illusion. The mechanism of gravity is the diameter of the object, not the radius. Anyway, as the other object appears to see it. Due to their mass, let's see, objects do not have gravity due to their mass. Well, you're just wrong. Every experiment demonstrates the relationship between gravity and mass. You can't escape it. It's a fact. There's no such thing as a dip in space-time. Well, what are those? Again, that's not my argument, so why do you throw this in here? Only planetary bodies such as stars and planets have gravitational fields. Well, again, it's just silly. Only planetary bodies. What qualifies as a planet? Is Pluto a planet? It's a silly thing to say. And we already know it's not true. Gravity affects dust. Dust has gravity. Dust. The object must rotate on its axis. No. There's planets that don't rotate, I think two, and clearly there's lots of moons that don't rotate, and they certainly have gravity. So you're just wrong to say, yeah, you're just wrong. I mean, sorry, but you're wrong. Next. To have a gravitational field are, in other words, only objects that have axial rotation. Well, again, it's just wrong. Have gravitational fields. Well, you can say it twice, but it's still wrong, and yeah, I'll say it's double wrong. So what is causing gravitational field? What is the rotating energy vortex causing gravity? Oh, and you're going to answer it. Black holes. Well, that's no answer at all. First off, they're just a theoretical abstraction, may not even exist. And the black holes in space might actually not be holes at all. They might be really hard things. Really hard things. Really dense matter. They're just not on fire. They're suns that aren't burning. That's all. There is a black hole in the center of every planetary object that has axial rotation. Again, gravity will exist if I took the center of the Earth out, just really quick. Just grab the center of the Earth, like the first few miles, the first 500 miles, let's say. Just grabbed it, threw it out. No black hole in the center anymore. The Earth is still going to have gravity, and the trick is there'll be no gravity in that center. Idiot. So anyway. There's a black hole in the center of every planetary. Again, so what's your proof? Where's your evidence? Where's any indication that that's possible or true? Oh, that's right. Absolutely nothing. You just say it. Well, that's not nearly good enough. Andrew Braccati has done good work. Who cares? I have provided a link. What the hell? Yeah, your links are to religious nuttery shit. Fuckhead. So how is it that there is a black hole at the center of the Earth as well as the other planets, knowing that we think we know about black holes, how it has not swallowed up the Earth yet? Right, you're saying there's a black hole, which is this incredibly dense, gravitationally dense object in the center of the Earth, and yet somehow the Earth isn't compressed into the black hole. Why? Because we don't have a clue how they actually work. That's how. Well, that explains nothing, correct? So doesn't the black hole bend the light or bend? Well, again, you say that, Einstein says that, but I don't think gravity can bend light. So you're not, obviously, again, you're saying you posted this video to me. What does this have to do with me? Where have I said gravity bends light? Oh, that's right, nowhere. Where have I said exactly the opposite? Yes, in the videos. Said many times. I've said that the lensing, gravitational lensing, is not being caused by gravity, it's being caused by light interacting with the particles surrounding gravitational bodies. Gravity can't bend light. So here, how is this a video to me? Oh, that's right, it's not. Space-time, let me explain. We cannot see the hole bending the light due to the fact that we are within the hole itself. Which doesn't make any sense. You don't see light. Light hits your eye. Light can terminate in your eyeball, but you can't see light going somewhere else. You only can see light that hits your eyeball. You can't see light while it's going somewhere. You can't. You can only see light that's leaving where it was and going to your eye. Even if I took a fiber optic cable and had it all bendy around and you saw light coming off the fiber optic cable, guess what? You're not seeing light moving or reflecting off the cable. You're seeing light leaving the cable. Light that isn't moving anywhere down the cable. It's left the cable and then went to your eye. You can't see light while it's going somewhere. Alright, the planet Earth, which has its own black hole at the center, generating our own Earth gravity. The fact that we're within the hole itself, on planet Earth, which has its own black hole at the center, generating our Earth gravity. I don't know what that means. Plus, we are still within the gravitational field lines of the sun's black hole. Prove it. So essentially, we're within two black holes at the same time. Prove it. So now, would you see the light bending? So how would you see the light bending? Well, again, I don't know why I would assume light would be bent by gravity, especially common gravity. Even Einstein says if light's ever going to be bent by gravity, it has to be supergravity. Gravity at the perimeter of a black hole, at the highest gravitational point, which isn't towards the center, which is on the surface. Another fact you're ignoring. You don't get more gravity as you go deeper into the earth. The gravity gets less, not greater. The peak gravity is on the surface of the earth, and going either way, up or down, will decrease the gravity. Fact. Fact. Oh, let me explain. We don't explain anything. It's just such a canard. Let me explain. You're not explaining anything. Alright, moving on. You can't. I will explain this further by explaining, great, the nature of light. Well, you're not going to do that. Light is a condition of photons within a gravitational field. Well, again, that's just wrong. Light is photons, gravitons, that have a frequency. The higher their frequency, the closer they are to each other. So the more of them that will pass by in a given amount of time. So we perceive them as having higher energy. Well, that's because there's more of them that'll pass a given point in a given amount of time. An energy wave. What does that mean? Oh, that's right. You can put it in quotes. Doesn't mean anything. You're not going to explain this wave. Within ether photonic soup. Waves spread. Why don't photons spread? Light is consequence of energy polarizing photons. Well, frequency and well, here I'll finish. At a certain frequency. Frequency and polarization don't have anything to do with each other. Two different phenomenons. And again, there's nothing. You're not explaining anything here. You're just making declarations. I declare Jesus died for our sins and rose from the dead. You declare it. What do you do? Where's your evidence? Diff, I don't know what that is. Frequency oscillation polarizations of photons. Nothing. Produce diff. Diff? I don't know what diff is. Colors of light, aka rainbow. Again, we already know this. Different frequencies create different, even complete manifestations of photons. X-rays, cosmic rays, beta, all the way down to radio waves. Completely not similar things to light. Made of the same exact thing, different frequency, but manifesting a very different phenomenon in the real world based on how it interacts with electrons. These are facts. You can't, you're not going to undo the existence of electrons. Anyway, white is not a color, neither is black. Well, again, that's not part of anybody's argument either. Who cares? Clearly, we perceive color, and there's an association between frequency and color. So to say that doesn't exist is silly, in my opinion. Just uselessly silly. Absence, there's no such thing as travel of light. Well, this is just stupid. I turn on the light's going to travel from me to here, and it's going to do it by a certain speed based on the atmosphere it has to travel through. Those are proven facts. You're stupid. What determines how far light travels is the same distance of the gravitational field. That's just idiotic. And how far the field lines of energy field extend. Just plain stupid. Fuck you. This is idiotic. No evidence of any of this. Just making shit up. We've sent photons you know, to the moon and back. We've done it. We've sent them all kinds of places, and none of this gravitational bullshit has been found to exist. They don't travel faster with gravity and then slower away from gravity. Therefore, light we see coming from the sun does not, in fact, travel to Earth. Therefore, the light we see coming from the sun does not, in fact, travel to Earth. Sorry, nor does the light from other stars. Fuck you, this is idiotic. The reason we see the sun as big as it is due to lensing effects of Earth's gravitational field lines. Well, that lensing effects only happens again on the surface, the strongest points of gravity in all atmospheric lensing. So what happens to your argument when somebody goes into space and lands on the moon and looks at the sun and it looks exactly like it looks from Earth? What's your explanation for that, idiot? Oh, that's right, you don't have one. An observer on Earth. If the Earth did not have gravitational field, the sun would appear to us as a small, pale, red star. Well, you're an idiot. And not the big, giant, glowy thing we know now. Same goes for the stars we see at night. Again, if you go into a spacecraft, get away from Earth's gravity, the Voyager spacecraft had the field of the stars, you know, in its imaging. They didn't look any different. Light cannot travel 10 million years to Earth. It says you. The size of stars that we see is a result of Earth's gravitational field within the sun's gravitational field. Well, you're just making declarations, and they're just wrong. And I think they've been proven wrong by many experiments. So this is just nonsense. Basically making a giant gravity. Fields within the sun's gravitational field, basically making a giant gravity. I guess there's more. See, this is another problem with writing text this way, you idiot. It doesn't. You don't even end sentences on these frames, which is really stupid. Telescope. A gravity telescope. Well, again, you can only do that on the surface of things. There is no telescope 500 miles away from the body. Which makes me wonder if the distances of far-off stars, planets that we think we know are accurate at all. Well, I have my doubts for other reasons. If there is no such thing as travel of light, well, there is, then how? So you just assume that you have evidence of any of this. You don't have any evidence of any of this. Then how do you measure the distance of far-off stars in light years? Well, again, yes, if you're correct that light doesn't take time to get from one place to another, well, okay. But you're wrong and you're stupid. Back to gravity. In the beginning of the planet sun's creation, the black hole is spinning fast. How? Why? Did you say so? The hole creates a rotating triangular field lines. Well, boop-de-doo, field lines. How do they make something move towards something else? How do they push every single molecular quanta within the matter to move in that direction? How does that take place? Oh, that's right, no explanation. What good is this shit? What good is this? This is a fucking, look, you know, you're just making up any Jesus theory, any Mohammed theory, any Buddha. You're just making up a religious theory, just saying this is what I say it is, and then saying, look how miraculous that is. Look how explanatory that is. God created the world. There, I explained it. There's no evidence for any of this shit. The faster the trapezoid rotates, the shorter the... Fuck. I don't even want to bother. I mean, this is just idiotic. You probably already understand this is idiotic by now, right? The gravitational field lines are vertically longer horizontally. Fuck you. The black hole does not necessarily explode whenever it comes into contact with any matter. Well, I don't even know why would it be exploding. Instead, think about it as an eddy in a river. Well, again, an eddy in a river is caused by a completely different external mechanism. An eddy gathers all of its surrounding matter and sucks it into the center. No, it doesn't. It basically is pushing it in, right? Of the eddy and does not explode. So again, what does this have to do with anything? Oh, that's right, nothing. It drives matter into the area of the lowest pressure. Well, the only part of that I'll agree with is that that's the name of the game. Is where's the where's the energy? The energy's on the exterior, and it's pushing this stuff to the interior. And you can pretend something else is happening, but that's what's happening. Andrew Bracati and blah 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 guy explained this. No, they don't explain any such thing, so fuck you. You know, people don't explain anything. Alright, well, instead what happens is the black hole keeps sucking in the matter from its surroundings, depending on where it is traveling within the galaxy. Well, again, it doesn't suck it in, so this is just wrong. It blocks pressure, creating a low pressure in between it and the other object that's gravitationally influencing it. And the two objects are moved towards each other because they both keep gaining acceleration because they're both getting pushed harder than the pressure in between them. I mean, I've already made this argument. I've already made all these videos. You're just not counter-arguing with any facts. You're not counter-arguing with any evidence. You're not counter-arguing with any reasonable theory. You're just spouting it as if it's a truth. Well, I disagree fundamentally and completely. Depending on where it is traveling within the galaxy, it tends to accumulate the heaviest elements at the center or its core. Again, where's your evidence? Like the molten iron core at the center of the Earth. Iron, aluminum, who knows? You know, but the idea that where the density is going to be, again, this is another tricky argument. Because I would argue that those heavy elements can't survive at the real core of the Earth because there's too little gravity to hold those heavy elements together. Over time, it keeps accumulating other elements and keeps stacking them all around the center. Well, says you. Again, it doesn't collect them. They're pushed into it. It's this pushing force, sorry. Depending on which area of space the planet is traveling through will depend on what elements are going to be deposited into the newly created planet. The elements are basically all the same everywhere, so that doesn't even mean anything. Over time, as the black hole gets saturated, it starts to slow down. Why? What slows it down? The soup? The soup has some sort of medium that can absorb energy and not distribute it somewhere. It can break conservation rules. As it slows down, it tends to create a sphere. It's going to tend to create a sphere. Well, anyway, I've already explained why that there's a sphere, and it has nothing to do with what you're saying. But spheres are just it's a fundamental thing. A sphere is just evidence of balance, which is the shape of the Earth. Well, it's not a perfect sphere, so you're wrong there anyway. And most other planetary bodies that have a gravitational field. Most planetary bodies spinning are not spheres, perfect spheres. So you're even wrong about that. Electricity equals force of gravity manifested in different form of energy. Well, in different form, period, energy, period. I don't even know what that means. But I would agree that electricity is just a manifestation of the same quanta moving. Energy traveling through a conductive medium, i.e. copper, subsequently creates a magnetic field. Electricity is the potential force of gravity stored in one end, released through the conductive medium towards the other end. Well, again, that just says nothing. It says nothing about the mechanism of transmitting this energy from one place to another, or what the energy is made out of. It says nothing about that. Basically, energy looking for a ground. Why and how? In reality, what it's trying to do is get to the center of the gravitational vortex. Well, quite obviously, that's not what it's doing. In my opinion, that's quite obvious. Electricity travels through conductors, and it's not going towards the center of any vortex. So that's just wrong. It's going wherever the conductor goes. It's caught in a pipe. Earth's center of the black hole vortex. Plasma equals stored positively charged energy looking for the center of the vortex. Well, what plasma are you talking about? Lightning. Stored energy in clouds escaping towards the center of the Earth. Well, again, you can say it's going towards the center of the Earth, but there's no... clearly, lightning doesn't move in straight line vertical manner whatsoever. It goes quite horizontal, and depending on the atmospheric conditions, it can go completely horizontal. Through a medium, in this case there, the nature of electricity is all the same. Well, whatever. You're not saying anything. They're not explaining anything here. It's looking for the center of the vortex, aka ground. Well, look, we all understand that there's a state of having an excess of electrons or photons, and that excess is going to look for a place to go, and it's going to look for the water. It's going to look for a desert, or the desert's going to look for water, however you want to analogize it. But the soup is going to look for a can, however you want to do that. But it has nothing to do with any of this crap you're saying. It has nothing to do with dirt or grass, or what's trying to do is, yeah, well, I'm sorry, it has a lot to do with surfaces where charge is held. So to deny that it's a surface function, again, I think it's just denying an overwhelming ton of evidence. Center of the vortex within the planet's core, but the dirt, well, again, so if I go up in a helicopter near high voltage transmission lines, how come I can create an arc if I'm not connected to the ground? Well, that's because I'm carrying a charge. If I'm carrying the same charge as the ground, well, then I'll create an arc. It just happens to be the way. Therefore, what we end up seeing is lightning hitting the ground. Well, again, we're only doing that because of charge, and the fact that the charges are at a different potential. They can both be positively charged. It's just that one is higher positive charge and the other is a lower positive charge. That still will create arc. Charge is an amount. You can't have a real true negative charge. You just have less charge. Magnetism equals force of gravity changed into ferrous metal, charged into ferrous metal iron. This is how magnets are made. You have to pass energy through the metal. Movement is more important, but whatever, I won't argue. Right now I won't argue. But you know, saying pass energy is, sorry. Natural magnets are the result of lightning hitting a mountain, hitting the mountain. There's no proof of that at all. What is indicated is that magnets are created when the natural magnets are created when the ore is in its liquid state, and it is magnetized in its liquid state and then hardens as a magnet. Our ground thusly passing energy through a medium creating a magnet. Well, again, we have plenty of lightning strikes on ground, and there's no correlation between a lightning strike and the iron ore being turned into magnets. In case of material capable of becoming a magnet, at least, not dirt, water, etc. Well, whatever, I'm just saying there's no connection between, there's no evidence that lightning creates magnets. Essentially, magnetism, light, plasma, gravity are all one and the same thing. Well, I don't even know what plasma is, so fuck that. Yes, magnetism, light, and gravity are all the same thing. I've explained how those things are unified as being all made of quanta moving. You've explained nothing. Manifested in different forms. That is, the force of gravity, aka energy suspended in ether. Again, energy in what does that say? Energy suspended in ether. I can make nothing of that. It quacks like nothing. It walks like nothing. It sneezes like nothing. It flies like nothing. It's nothing. My imagination could do absolutely nothing with this silly sentence. Energy suspended in ether. What is that? What does that fucking mean? Doesn't mean shit. Alright, without ether, photonic soup, quantum fluid. Also, I forgot to mention that universe equals energy suspended in ether. Well, again, energy. What does that mean? What? What is energy, idiot? Energy can assume many forms, whether pure energy, as in a black hole. Oh, black holes are pure energy. Okay, says you. Or matter. Black holes aren't matter. Okay, wrong, stupid. Matter is energy arranged in certain form. Well, I think everybody agrees with that one to some extent or another, so that's a meaningless statement. every theory of physics pretty much recognizes E equals mc squared. So that just doesn't say anything. It's whether the matter changes the energy into something else is the question. Does the energy get transformed when it becomes matter, or is it the same energy just trapped in the matter? Floating in a sea of ether. Well, again, floating in a sea of ether says nothing. In other words, atoms equals energy in certain configurations. Duh. But atoms cannot exist without a sea of ether. Whatever the sea of ether is, no explanation. How is this at all useful? Oh, that's right, it's not. So anyway, so I've given you more time than you deserve, quite obviously. And really, if all you got to sell is your cult of Tesla and your cult of, I'm just going to say shit for which there's no evidence, fuck you. I like the picture it draws. Fuck you. It's not an explanation. It's not useful. And you're certainly not making any counter argument to my explicit, stated premises. So fuck you. Go away. This is not useful. That's enough said. Yeah, fuck you.